Hey friends, it's Simon Hurley and welcome to another video. Today I'm using my new line with Spellbinders and the Glimmer hot foil plates to share a bunch of Glimmer hot foil hacks and tips that I've learned along the way. Let's get into it. I'm going to start off by using the Ornament String Set, and in here you have a really awesome string of kind of retro looking ornaments, and then you have the die to cut them out as well. These are going to Glimmer hot foil. Alright, I'm going to use some gold foil for this. I keep a little bit of mint tape on the end of my foil rolls so they don't unravel, but then it's really easy to pull it off. And then I can bring out my foil. I like to do this on a little cutting mat here so that I can place my die right down onto the foil. And then I'll go in with a rotary trimmer. I've loved this little OLFA trimmer and it's got a little safety protection there. And I like it because it's a really nice small blade, so you're able to get down into some of the littler details of the design. And that way, there's not going to be a ton of overfoiling when you cut that out. So check out how easy that was. And we can even go into some of these smaller little details and cut off some of the pointy areas because those little points tend to overfoil. This is a small investment, but it's been a game changer for cutting hot foil. All right, then when I want to foil, I'm going to place my Glimmer plate down, and if I want it in an exact spot on the card, I'm going to grab a little bit of mint tape, and I'm going to create a little hinge on it. So I'm going to place it at one area and then on the opposite side as well. And this is going to make it so that we can flip this up and add some foil underneath. You want the pretty side of the foil to touch the pretty side of the plate and the design. And then I'm going to place this down and then just slide it up a little bit until it fully covers the design. This way we were able to know exactly where it's going to go. And then we will place this right down, upside down onto our machine and then press the timer button until it's ready. Sorry to interrupt guys, but I wanted to share something kind of important. So when I used this plate, it was actually hanging off the edge like this and on this side too. So next time when I use this plate, I'm gonna end up running it through my machine like this since there's more room this way because it gets so hot that it actually ends up melting the plastic. If you're using this plate at home, just make sure you use it the long way so that this doesn't happen to you. All right, hope that makes sense. Now you can keep watching. Once the light turns solid green, we can pull this right out of our machine. And then I'm gonna place it in my platinum, grab the two plates, place them down, and then we'll run it right through. You want to make sure to run it through kind of slowly so that it goes over all of the design. And then you can also run it back if you want to just ensure that everything has foiled nicely. I'm going to lift this die off with that tool, place it off to the side, and then we'll place this right back into the machine. We got the smallest amount of overfoiling over here, so I'm just going to take my mono sand eraser and easily erase it off. If it's loose on the sheet, it's going to come off really easily to fix the mistakes. And check out those beautiful and shiny results. It's almost like a letterpress in gold. I love it. I'll bring this back in and cut out another piece of foil using my rotary trimmer and cut right around the design. And then if you don't want to do the hinge method, you can always just place it right down onto your card like this and line it up where you want it to be. I want this one angled downward a little bit more. And then I'm going to grab another piece of tape and just tape that right down afterwards. And that'll hold it in place nicely while it goes through. I'll take that and place it down once again, and then we'll set the timer until it goes off. Once the timer turns solid, we can pull this out of the machine, place our plates right on top, and then we'll bring it to our platinum machine. And then again, go slowly when you're going over the design to make sure that everything transfers really nicely. And then when we lift this off, check out that beautiful foiling. I'm obsessed with these ornaments and just how easy it is to get such a great foiled effect. Next, I'm going to use the Joyful Christmas Sentiments Glimmer Hot Foil Plate and Die Set. I love this one because you can foil it and then cut it out in one go, and it's a huge time saver. For this one, I want to foil the sentiments in red, so I'm going to lay a little bit of foil down, and this fits perfectly right down on there. And then I can go in and cut that out with my rotary trimmer. Super easy. This one we're cutting out so it doesn't have to be nearly as precise. We'll place down the foil plate, design side up. We'll place down the foil pretty side down facing the pretty design. And then we're going to place down just a piece of my stark white cardstock and then press the timer. Once the timer's ready, we can pull this out, bring in our plates, place them down. And this plate's a little bit bigger, so again, just go really slowly as you're going over the design to make sure that it all nicely transfers. All right, and get ready for the reveal. It's just beautiful. I love that red foiling. And then again, if you've got any little bit of overfoiling there, you can go in and just really easily use your sand eraser or electric eraser to get that off of the surface. But I wouldn't worry too much about it because we're cutting all these out. All right, now this comes along with one die in the set to cut out all of these sentiments. And the great part is it's all attached. So you just have to place this down and it'll cut out all of the sentiments at once, which is amazing. a huge time saver. Then we'll run that right through our die cutting machine to cut everything out. All right, then we'll easily pop all of these sentiments out, and you'll see the foiling on these is just amazing, and you get a nice border around each one so easily with that one die. I like how the foiling stands out on its own, but to finish this background off and make it complete, I'm gonna go in with a little bit of ink. Here I'm using some Game Over, and I'm gonna bring it all along the edges. And this is just to darken the edges and add a little bit of depth and finishing touch to it. So check out just how much that really brings that edge to life, and it's gonna really draw your eye nicely to the center of the card. And also don't worry about getting ink on your foil. If you do, you can always wipe it off with a dry cloth and it'll come off perfectly. It repels the ink really nicely and keeps all of that amazing shine. I'll add some tape runner and then adhere that right down onto a top folding A2 size white card base. And that leaves a nice little border all the way around. I decided on the Merry Christmas sentiment, and instead of putting it right in the center like I usually would, I think right here is where I want to put it. I think it slots right in there perfectly, and I'm going to adhere it down on some foam tape. And that finishes off the card. I love those ornaments so much. The detail is insane, and the gold foiling with the red sentiment is just beautiful. And then we were able to bring it to life using a little bit of ink around the edge. We also created this set called Retro Ornaments, and it's this really beautiful, much larger ornament glimmer hot foil plate and the coordinating die to go along with it. This time I want to use a bit of my silver foil, and then I'll bring in my hot foil plate, design side down, and then I'll cut right around the design. And then again, cutting off some of the excess in between areas to make sure there's not going to be too much excess overfoiling is great, and that's why this little guy comes in handy. I'll place my foil down onto my cardstock. We're going to place the glimmer plate design side down, facing towards the pretty side of the foil. Then I'm going to bring in some mint tape to make sure that this is held in place and isn't going to shift during the process. Then I'll bring in my glimmer system, flip this down, and then we'll set the timer. Place down the plates and then run it right through. And again, we want to go slowly. These ornaments are quite large, so we just want to make sure that all of the heat transfers the design beautifully. All right, and we'll lift off that foil and check out how beautiful that is. I love the designs inside of these ornaments. They are just so stunning. All right, then I'm gonna use the coordinating die, place that down, and make sure to line it up with the strings and the ornaments. And then we'll use some mint tape to hold it down so that it won't shift. And then we'll run that right through our die cutting machine. And look how perfectly that cuts out with a nice even border all the way around. Next, I'm gonna use the Geo Snowflakes Glimmer cover plate. I love this design in here, and it produces a great look when foiled. But today we're gonna use it for embossing instead. I'm using the universal plate system, so I'm going to put A and B in. These are the base and the platform top. And then I'm going to place in E, which is the embossing mat. This is going to give it a nice cushioned surface. I'll bring in my stark white cardstock, and I'm actually going to mist this twice so that it's easier to form to the design. And then I'll go in with my cover plate and place it design side facing down right onto my cardstock. Last, I'll use the D adapter plate, place that right on top, and then I'm going to run this through my machine. When we lift that off, you get this really beautiful embossed surface, and you could really use either side of this design, but I just love how it gets kind of impressed into the cardstock. All right, and in here, I'm gonna bring in a little bit of no diving. We're going for some blues and purples, and I'm just going to go on the surface and add some color in. And the really awesome part about this is since we did that kind of debossing technique using the foil plate, it's only going to hit the raised surfaces, leaving the other part of the design really light. Then I'm bringing in a little bit of Crown Me to add in some purple to the design. I love using kind of blues, purples, and reds for Christmas cards. Last, I'll go in with some Love Struck, which is this kind of pinkish berry red color, and I'm just going to bring it in to blend and fill in the rest of this space. I love how this is looking, but I'm gonna go in and add a little bit of water down on the surface. My inks react with water really beautifully, so hopefully this kind of runs the color a little bit on the edges and creates more of a watercolor effect like I painted on these colors. Once we've softened up the edges and moved the color a little bit, I'm gonna go in and heat set this to dry it really easily. And you can see how that totally changed the inks to create more of a blended watercolor look on there. I'm gonna add the ornaments down using some foam tape, and for this I need something really skinny for the strings, so I'm just gonna go in with my Fiskars Spring Assist scissors and cut out a little strip for both of these strings. And then we'll add this down right over top of that inked area, and I love how it creates a beautiful background for that. And I love that the joyful Christmas sentiment cuts out several at once, and I'm gonna add the Deck the Hall sentiment right in there and then place that down on some foam tape. All right, you guys, and that finishes off the card just beautifully. I love that snowflake texture in the background using the foil plate to deboss it, and then with that watercolor to finish it off with the ornaments on top. Alright you guys, I hope you really enjoyed these foiling techniques and some of the foiling tips and tricks to really make it easy. Leave me a comment down below on which card was your favorite, and also down there is a full supplies list to everything that I used, and using those links helps support me, so I really appreciate it. Thanks so much for stopping by, and I'll see you guys soon. Bye!